Decided to do a new wall display using hexie shelves and, of course, all my little weird looking things. Is it art? Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, April the 18th, 2022. And this is vlog number 261, and it's day 769 of COVID. So let's get right into what I've been working on. Well, I don't have any quilts or table runners or placemats or wall hangings to show you this week because all my time has been taken up with my quilt path. And let me show you what I mean. Okay, so that's my long arm, Lucy, and we have the Quilt Path, which is the computerized system that will run Lucy attached to it. And I've been trying to figure out how to quilt with it. So the thing is, this little sucker did not come with any real instructions, and anything you can find on this are for older versions. So I've been able to piece together bits of information that have helped me to get started anyways. But this is what I've learned so far. I have learned how to do a basic edge-to-edge design, and that's what you're seeing here. Now, this is not a quilt. This is just some fabric made into a quilt sandwich and basted onto Lucy to experiment with it. So I know you can't really see the quilting on here, but I'm going to try to blow it up a little bit more. It's a busy fabric in the background, but if you look real close, you see the lines. This is what the Quilt Path did. It comes with a whole lot of different designs, and you can get other designs as well that you can download and put into the Quilt Path. So I'm happy that I think I have figured out how to do an edge-to-edge design like I have done here. However, I know there's a whole lot of other things that this Quilt Path program can do, and I'm probably not doing this in the most efficient way at the moment. But come later this week, tomorrow actually, I have an appointment with Tracy, who's my local dealer. She operates Whirls and Swirls. You've heard me talk about her before. And she has graciously offered to have us come down, bring a quilt with us, and we're going to throw it up on one of her long arms that's equipped with the Quilt Path, and she's going to show us how to use it, how to quilt with it. Now, I'm not going to learn everything about it because it's a very complex program. And basically, I think the best way to learn it will be, well, one, experiment, but really to take like a whole day course or something like that, which I think Tracy is sort of trying to get people for and is working towards. And I can tell you this, if she does offer something like that, I'll be the first person to sign up for it. But anyways, it's a new adventure, and yeah, it's a new toy, and with every new toy, there's always a learning curve. The other thing that I've been working on, and I'll show you a couple of blocks here, I've decided that on the Idiot Quilter, I'm going to maybe do more demos. People seem to want demos, and so I'm going to give it a try. The only reason I hesitate about doing demos is because it involves editing, and it takes a lot of time to do them. But I have done my first one, and it's already up on the site. It's called The Idiot Quilter Presents a Demonstration. And my first demonstration was to compare the accuracy of the Accuquilt die cutting system with hand cutting. And I go into a great deal of detail about how I set this experiment up and what my results were. But essentially, the block on the left, the one with the blues in it, that was all cut by hand, the way I would normally cut my fabric. And the one on the right with the orangey colors to it, that one was cut with the Accuquilt die. Now, I kind of assumed that cutting with the Accuquilt die would give me much more accurate cutting, and so that my overall block dimensions would be bang on. Well, there is very little difference in accuracy between my hand cutting and between the Accuquilt. That's what I discovered. And I was really surprised at that. Well, it tells me one thing, anyways, that I'm a pretty good hand cutter when it comes to, doing this kind of thing. However, that does not mean that the Accuquilt is a big waste of money. It is not. I could cut the pieces I need for this block a lot faster with the Accuquilt die than I can hand cutting. And, that translates into full-size quilts, the speed just to get your cutting over with. And a lot of people don't like cutting. And I don't hate it, but it's not the most enjoyable part of the process of quilting, I find. So I talk more about that in the demonstration. So if you're interested, check that out. It's I have it listed, actually, the link to it in the show notes below. Okay, so let's go to me again. And let's talk about the YouTube channel of the week. And the YouTube channel of the week is a segment, and lately that's what I've been doing, because I haven't really come across any YouTube channels that are really pulling me in. That's not to say that they won't, but I have a subscription list that's as long as your arm. I think I have about 300 or 400 YouTube channels I subscribe to. Now, I don't, many of them are old. I don't go to them anymore, things like that, but nevertheless, they're in my list. And I'm always adding to the list as well. But I'm sort of focusing my attention not so much on reviewing YouTube channels per se, but when an interesting video or segment from a YouTube channel comes across my path, I want to share it with you, because I think you'll glean something useful from it. At least that's my intent for putting it up. So this week, this one's called Anxious About a Power Failure? EcoFlow is the ultimate small home generator. Now, this was done by Patty Mac Makes. She is a quilter. That's why I subscribed to her. But this was a little unusual for her. She didn't talk about quilting. She talked about basically a power backup system that she really believes in. And, well, let her explain it. This week's YouTube channel of the week is not an actual channel. It is actually a segment from a channel. And this is a channel that is called Patty Makes. And she is actually a quilter, and most of her videos have to do with quilting. But in this particular video that caught my fancy, she is showing something called the EcoFlow, which is a small home generator. And this I found really, really interesting, because this is something that here where I live, we don't need to have one of these for our home. But I was thinking that this would be something that would be very useful to have if, you need a steady power supply backup for, say, 3D printers, things like that. Now, this is a very, very pricey toy. We're not talking here a couple $100. We're talking, close to a couple of $1,000 for this. So it might be kind of overkill to have just a 3D printer plugged into it. But if you live in an area where, you have frequent power outages or things like that, this little item, the way she demonstrates it, will actually operate your refrigerator, major appliances, things like that, and not for just a few minutes, but for quite a few hours. I found this video clip very fascinating because I am into electronics, and this is an electronic toy, albeit an expensive electric toy, but when's that ever stopped me? Well, I'm not thinking of buying one of these ever, but some of you may find this very, very helpful as a review. And she does this review as well because she is not a technical person. And she tells you that. So you're really getting a very honest, upfront review of something that, would be appropriate to the average person. And especially this toy itself, I think, would, and I shouldn't call it a toy because it's a very serious device for if you're in an area that, as she is, where there are a lot of tornadoes or things like that, where your power supply could be down for days, this might be a real life saver for you. So check it out if you're interested in this kind of thing. Now, I did look up the price of one of those little buggers that she was showing, and they're not a cheap toy. They cost several $1,000s. But you know, like her, if you live in an area where you could suffer from power outages for long periods of time, it might be something to look into. Personally, I don't think I have any use for it myself. Okay, so that takes me to the list of resources. You will find that video clip or that YouTube channel showing that little product listed in the show notes below. There's the latest Stephen and Walter Live. If you missed us yesterday, sorry about that. I forgot to mention the week before that we would be on an hour earlier because it's Easter Sunday. And we were having my sister and her family here for dinner. So we needed to move it up to 3 o'clock. Now, I did put out a short reminder about that early Sunday morning, but you may have missed that, and I'm sorry about that. But anyways, you can catch it on the replay. And there's some other things. The Idiot Quilter, episode 162, new toys and lots of things I talk about. The link is there. Idiot Quilter presents. I talk about time management in that. And just as an aside here, I will have an interview for the Idiot Quilter tomorrow. I did a great interview with The Guy Who Sews is the name of the YouTube channel, and Sean Ironmonger is the person that I interviewed. We had a great interview, and so you will be able to find that interview online tomorrow, and the link, I will have the link up for that in the Idiot Quilter tomorrow as well when that goes up. There's a So Chatty episode. I talk about or show you, we show you how the unboxing and installation of the Quilt Path. So if any of you have been ever thinking about getting one of these devices, you might be interested in that, because there were some trials and tribulations with putting it together, as there always is, but we did get it together. And there's also that demonstration. The Idiot Quilter presents a demonstration, Accuquilt dies versus rotary cutting, which I put up at the end of last week. If you have not seen it, there's a link to that too if you're interested in, you know, what does the Accuquilt do? And yeah, so everything is there for you. So that takes me to what's outside my window today. Let me switch over. Here we go. Pictures got a bit of a glare on it, and I think we need to wash our windows on the outside of the house because they're looking a little spotty. But the sun's coming up. I took this at 7:45 this morning, and you can see we're starting to get a little bit green, but it is still cold. Right now it's 1 degree Celsius. And believe it or not, we did have a little dusting of snow yesterday morning. When I got up and looked out my back windows to my deck, the deck had just a fine dusting of snow, which of course within a few hours was gone. But yeah, sometimes the bright sunshine fools us here where I live, makes us think that it's nice warm weather, and it's not. It's been cold, you know, not extremely cold. Most days slightly above 0 Celsius, but still cold. But it's coming. We're getting there. Yep. So that's what's outside my window today. Okay. So that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. And this comes from my own personal experiences with people who write comments on my YouTube channels, which I love comments. Keep them coming. If you got something to say, go for it. And you know my rule for comments. I'll leave it up if it's constructive, if it's informative, if it's entertaining. I don't answer or reply to all comments because sometimes there's just nothing more to say. You know, I get very nice compliments from people about things, and I thank you all for that. I always do. I'm always very appreciative of the of the nice comments, thanking me for something that you found useful on my YouTube channel. So just be known, I do appreciate it, even if I don't directly address you and say thank you for that. You might wonder why I don't respond. And this is the same for all creators on YouTube, because there are so many. And there's only so many hours in the day, too, And as I said, some comments are just self-evident. You don't need to comment on them. But the ones that do get my goat are the people who ask me questions. Now, it's not the questions. It's not asking me questions that gets my goat. No, that's fine. And if I can answer the question, I will. But what frustrates me are people who, they don't know how to ask a question. They're having a problem with their sewing machine. Now, I have said this before. Neither Walter nor I are experts about the mechanics of a sewing machine. And all sewing machines are different. If we know the answer to the question, we will give you the answer. But a lot of times we don't know what the question was asking us. I had a question the other day. Somebody was having some problems with their decorative stitches on their sewing machine. And I think the comment was something to the effect, it had been working fine, and then suddenly it's just, now the stitches are going wonky. Now, if that was you that asked that question, please, I am not criticizing you for asking that question. What I am suggesting to you is I need more details. If I don't have the details, I will tend to ignore the question, because I'm not going to get into a one-on-one dialogue that goes back and forth. It takes me back to the days when I first got into computers when I was a much younger man, back in the mid-80s kind of a thing. Computer technology was relatively new, and because I had a real interest in computers at the time, still do, I self-taught myself a lot of things about computers, and I would get people calling me up, colleagues, friends, and that, and they would have a problem with their computer, and they were asking me for help. And this is what they would ask. They would go, well, I turned on the computer the other day. Well, that's a good thing. You know how to turn on the computer. I'm being a little facetious. And they'd say, so I pressed the button and nothing happened. Okay. What button did you press and what were you trying to do? Well, I pressed that button that's near the bottom of the keyboard, and then I was trying to get that other little thingy to come up on the screen. Okay. Let's be more specific, shall we? Thingy is not one of the more commonly used terms for a computer. Okay? What's going on? It would take me literally hours to try and figure out what their problem was, because most of my time was spent trying to decipher what they were asking me. And that's no different than what I sometimes find in the comment section of my YouTube videos. I can't read your mind. Also, I can't see your sewing machine. And that's another problem too. It's not just that the language people are using is very non-specific, but I can't see what your problem is. I need to have a little video. I need to be there with you more than anything else. And that's why if you have a sewing machine dealer, you'll go, they ask you to bring the machine in. They want to see firsthand what the problem is. And I'm sorry if I'm frustrating you, because I can't give you an immediate pat answer. But there isn't an immediate pat answer. And there's even less of a chance of you getting an answer if you're not specific enough. But that's really how people roll, isn't it? We've all had conversations with people that seem to start in the middle of a paragraph and we don't know what they're talking about. And so we sometimes, if we don't really care what they're talking about, we'll just make commiserating noises and pretend we understand exactly what they're talking about. But in our mind, it's going la, 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 right? Unfortunately, I do that quite a bit. I can be looking at somebody and oh, yeah, and I have no idea what they're talking about because I'm not listening. They lost me right within the first sentence, kind of a thing, because it was non-specific. I don't understand the context. So what I'm saying is there is a right way and a wrong way to ask for help or to ask a question. The first thing you need to do is, in your own mind, clarify what it is you are asking and what it is you want to know, and put that into language that is concise, to the point, and specific. That will get you an answer quicker than anything else. And that doesn't just apply to asking questions about a sewing machine, to anything that people ask. And I am a bit of an expert on that from my experience as a high school teacher, because the most non-specific individuals on the face of the planet tend to be teenagers. They will walk up to you and they will say, "Hey, sir, I was trying to do that thing the other night that you gave us, and I got trouble with it on that, because I didn't know what to do with that other thing." So I learned over time to ask very directed questioning to get them to ask their question in a more specific way. And that was a struggle, and it took up time. But at least I had the student usually standing in front of me at that point. So, we could also add body language, facial context, and possibly even see a sample of what it was they're talking about. But I can't do that with a comment. So you need to be very specific in order to get an answer. Now, my memory isn't very good anymore, if it ever was good. And, I've got a lot of videos up on my channel. I think I'm close to 1,000 or more than 1,000 videos. And I've been doing this for about 10 years. I cannot remember what was in a video from last week, let alone one that I put up 6 years ago. But I get people asking me questions about something in the video, and I haven't got a clue. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to spend the time reviewing that video to figure it out. I'm not. The other thing is, well, it would help too if sometimes when people ask those questions, if they'd look at the date. I always date my videos. Take a look at the date. If it's from a few years ago, the likelihood that I'm going to remember what was in that is pretty much not. I will not remember at all. Also, things change in those old videos. I may have been talking about something that was current at the time, which no longer is current, or there's new versions of something or whatever. So, I don't live in the past. I'm going boldly forward on these kind of things. So I'm more concerned with what's happening right now and what's happening tomorrow than what happened yesterday or 6 or 7 years ago. So I'm sorry. Maybe that sounds rude, but I'm not being rude. I'm just telling you the way it is on there. So I guess the whole thing is, what pisses me off is how I get very frustrated with people when they ask questions that are so general or not specific enough, because I want to help you. I want to help these people, but I can't spend the time going back and forth trying to narrow down what it is you're looking for. Also, I think some people get angry with me because I can't give them an immediate answer, or I can't give them an answer at all. And again, I'm sorry about that, but I can't. I just can't, and I hope you will understand that. Now, that's not to say do not reach out and don't ask me a question. Please continue to do so. But please think about what I just said. You will get a much better answer, or something that might be a little bit more helpful, if you're very specific in your question and give me the background to it. Can't read your mind. Sorry. And these things that I've been saying right now that pertain more to me, it's just not me. They pertain to anybody. If you're trying to get something done from a company, or you've got a complaint about something or whatever, make sure you go in with specifics, because nothing will turn off a retailer, if you're complaining about something like that, than people who are not specific enough. And what they will do, as time is money, right? They will get rid of you as quickly as they possibly can. And when I say get rid of you, that means they're not going to answer your question. They're not going to bother with you. And you're going to leave angry and frustrated about that. So, yeah, start with some good questions and background information. And I think you'll get a lot more action. Okay, so that takes me to the product review. Well, I'm just going to see if I can get a picture up of it. And here you go. Of course, the Quilt Path. Now, to you, especially if you're not a quilter, you're probably looking at this and going, isn't that your long arm and isn't that a tablet? Yes, it is. But that tablet is attached to a little frame that is clamped. And if you look way down here, you see this little red knobby thing? That's one of two clamps that clamps this bar to this bar, and that's what moves the whole machine on its own. There's a big motor system. You can't see it here in behind. And the tablet is actually the program that tells the long arm where to go and what to sew. And it is an expensive toy. A very expensive toy. This little toy has cost me now about $16,000. Yes, pick yourself up off the floor. That's expensive. Now, it comes with this tablet. Well, you need it. And it would be nicer if it came with an Apple product, because I like Apple tablets better than this. But this is a Microsoft Surface 7 Pro, I believe. Essentially, it's a computer, as all tablets really are these days. And that's what it comes with. And the program's on it, and away you go. You can actually take the tablet off if you want to use it as a tablet, as a computer as well. But, I'm not doing that because this is dedicated. I want this to be dedicated to Lucy. I don't need another tablet. I've got lots. But there it is. So I know it doesn't look like much, and especially when you hear that it's about $16,000 that I've spent for all of this, and that's in Canadian dollars. But yeah. So in total investment in this system, the long arm and that is now just about $38,000 Canadian. Yes, I could have bought a car, but I wouldn't have as much fun with a car. No. To me, car is just something to get you from point A to point B. So the least amount I have to spend on it, the better. But this is my Cadillac right now. Now all I have to do is learn how to use the program, which I already said earlier. Okay. So that's what's new. And that takes me to the 3D corner. And what have I been doing? I have been, okay, you're going to laugh at this. I'm making toys. Well, they look like toys. These are called Benchies. Benchies in the original format are a little boat. Probably this one is the closest to what an original Benchie looks like. Now, you're going to say, so why do you make little boats? Well, they're called Benchies because you use them as a benchmark for testing out the settings on a 3D printer. Because in the printing of one of these little structures, there's all kinds of different tolerances and things that your printer has to do, and this way you can tweak it, fine-tune it. But what a lot of people have been doing lately is taking the Benchies and they've been transforming them into other things. So here you've got Godzilla Benchie. I don't know what this one is. This one, they've made it look more like a little steamboat kind of a thing. Extended the stack, put a life preserver on the top. This one, which is a little hard to see, is Star Trek Enterprise. This one is a Benchie on a banana. This one's a shark that's kind of gone through the Benchie. And this is a ghost ship Benchie. So there's all kinds of different ones. So, I get on a kick. And I decided to start printing out a bunch of these. Here's another shot, different angle of all these. And yeah, this one's got jaws coming up on the back of it. And people make them like comedy kind of a thing. Like this Benchy is sinking. This one is a drag Benchy, they call it. I don't know if I have any more pictures. No, I don't have any more pictures of the Benchies. So I've been making these, and I've been reorganizing my shelf, my wall displays. I took down some more of my artwork. Slowly but surely, I don't have a lot of my paint pouring and collage things left on my walls. I'm putting up things like you can see over on this side. Those hexagonal shelves, I love them. And if I move my head, yep, see just over, no, get my fingers right. Okay, this one. Up in here is a whole new, I did take a picture of them. Well, maybe I'll do that for next week. That holds a lot of my Benchies. I am now working on another bunch of shelves to replace some shelves that I made when I first got the 3D printer and have some of my original 3D prints on them. I'm going to tear those down when I get these hexagons made and put up a new display on that wall. I really like these little hexagon shelves because I think they're kind of neat. And I make them in all kinds of different colors, and yeah, I kind of just like the look of them. The other old shelves are kind of sagging, and well, it's because I didn't know what I was doing when I made those the last time. Yeah, so two things people will probably end in the garbage when I'm off this, when I shuffle off this mortal coil. Probably all my fabric, all my quilts, and all my 3D prints. It's kind of sad, but you know, if it brings you joy, don't think about it. You know, sometimes we get really hung up on making things that are practical. If they don't have a use, then they're useless. Well, these do have a use. They keep my mind occupied because I'm always looking for new things to print and always testing to see, can I do that? And they're nice to look at. They're kind of pretty, and that brings me joy too. So yeah, for me, they're practical. They make me happy. Okay, so that takes me to something else that makes me happy, and that's traveling, which I haven't done in quite a few years. So here's another blast from the past in one of my trips. This is still Australia, and this is the second part of our overland trip to Warrnambool. And this was February the 12th, 2018, and this is part 2, as I said. These are the 12 apostles, and if you get near the right way or something like that, you don't have all these people taking selfies of themselves in front of you. So, did you enjoy the 12 apostles?
It was interesting.
A few were missing.
Yeah.
They dropped in the thing. Of course, once again, as soon as you pull out your camera, take a picture, there's all kinds of Asians in them. So, sounds prejudiced, I know, but it's the truth. Oh, camera wars. Well, it looks like the moo-moos are coming in from Elkin. Here they all are, girls. So, this is sort of the back of where we're staying at a Best Western here in Warrnambool. Probably didn't say that right, but whatever. And here's what the room looks like. Walter's parking the car right now. And it's okay. It's a little nicer than I thought it was going to be. Lady at the reception was really nice. And once we get in here and get settled in for a second or two, then I think we'll take a little walk to the business district. And we'll see what we see. And I hope we get something to eat too, because I'm starving. And this is where we're staying. This is the front. You already saw the back in the room. So it's okay. Yeah, and things
place, this Warrnambool. It's around 4 o'clock, well, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. We're looking for some place to eat. We're finding a lot of places that are closed. And we're just wondering, yeah, we're just wondering if this is what they do here. Close up on Mondays or whatever. Because when we're in Melbourne, as Walter said, they seem to be closed there a lot too on Mondays on different things. So really don't know what it does. Now this place over here says Mexican restaurant, bar, takeaway, but it don't look open. A little bit more of this place. Okay, so we're back at our hotel and we're sitting in the bar having a couple of beers and we're getting some nachos because we have found that a lot of the places don't open until 5 or they're not open at all for dinner. So we'll wait around and we're looking at the menu from this place and we might just eat right here in the hotel. At least we don't have to go any place further. I don't know about you, but I'm tired.
I'm kind of tired too.
So I don't think there's
all that
stuff on
stress of driving on the other side
yeah,
of the road.
right. Yeah, I get used to that. Yeah. So, yeah, this place looks okay. I guess there's a big group of Canadians here too. They're staying for 3 days, came in on a bus, but they seem to be checking out farms. So I wonder if they are some kind of farmers thing or something, you know, learning about farming things in Australia.
In drought conditions.
Well, I know that farmers do come here to check stuff, and educators do too.
Yeah.
They used to come from our board, they'd come here, and they'd share stuff about education. Of course, all the bigwigs at the board got to go to that, and of course, you know who was paying for that.
Well, they did that at work too. They came here for property assessment.
Yeah, so there you go. So, you know, what a great good way to get a free trip to Australia. Wish our trip was free, but it's not. So we decided to eat here in the restaurant that's attached to the hotel. And over there's a huge group, and they're all Canadians. They're farmers, apparently. They're staying here 3 days, and they're on some kind of trip where they're going around and looking at farms. I'll bet you they're from Western Canada, but maybe not. Anyways, we're enjoying this wine, which was, well, quite frankly, one of the cheapest ones on the menu for $24, the Chardonnay. It's okay. It grows on you, but so does fungus. And Walter's having some kind of chicken breast. We think it's like a cordon bleu, but it's got like camembert farce. I said farce. I didn't say fart. I said camembert farce on it and bacon. So it sounds interesting. I'm having the pasta, which is pesto, basil pasta, fettuccine with chicken and mushrooms and stuff. We'll see what that's like. So it was either here or we'd be struggling all over town tonight looking for a place for din-dins. And the places that were downtown anyway didn't look that exciting. And there's another place across the road from here, up the hill, that we looked at to go for lunch, but the kitchen was closed when we got there at 3 o'clock. So we just didn't feel like walking anywhere. So we're eating here. So here's what we ordered. So mine is the pasta, the basil pesto with chicken. The chicken is shredded with mushrooms and some Parmesan on it, and she put a little cracked pepper on it. It's actually fairly tasty. I give it a 7. And Walter's is what I'm glad I didn't order, but what do you think?
Okay. So I don't think I'd run out and get it again.
You know, it's definitely not a cordon bleu.
No.
It came with a fritter, a vegetable fritter.
Yeah.
She said, not really to
It's
your
not that
liking.
great.
So, something different. Okay, quickly before the help comes over, what you think of your dinner?
Not particularly good.
And this wasn't horrible. I've had worse, but I've had a lot better. Yeah, I still ate it because I was hungry. All right, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still wondering whether or not Walter says he thinks maybe we're too picky, and we don't think we are, or it's just a question of that I haven't yet had, except for the first night in Melbourne, I really haven't had any meals that stand out as being excellent. Maybe we're just not eating in the right places.
And that takes me to events in the past week. Well, of course, the big one was Easter dinner. We have not had anybody over here for dinner, well, since pre-COVID, right? Um, so this was kind of nice to have my sister, my brother-in-law, and my nephew and niece here as well. And of course, I had to do a table setting. Let me show you that. And so here's my Easter table. No plates on the table except the small ones because we did it buffet style out in the kitchen with it. And so you can see my setup, and this is my centerpiece. There's a little better picture of it. I thought it was really quite pretty. And of course, all those bunnies and everything were all done on my 3D printer. Of course they were. The bunny in the middle, the purple one, he rotates around because I put one of those display things that you always see in my background where my gnomes are spinning. I put one of those under him just to add a little movement. And the flowers are very pretty. Dollar store. Yep. I just bought a couple of, stems of flowers, cut them off the big long one and tucked them in there. Here's another angle as well. And then everybody got one of the little bunnies, which I've shown you before, with some edible eggs in them, chocolate eggs, those candy-covered chocolate eggs kind of a thing. I love those. Everybody got one at their place setting, and they got to take them home as well with them. I always like to give party favors. I like people to take something away as a reminder of their evening. And of course, the table runner that this is sitting on, you've seen this before, especially in the Idiot Quilter, because I showed that. I did that was an in the hoop design as well. So I thought the table, I was really happy with the setup of the table. It looked quite pretty. I did have, I shared this picture on something else, I think on So Chatty, on Stephen Walter Live, and someone commented upon my dining room table setup. Just go back to that. It was my grandparents' dining room set. So the table, the buffet, or not the buffet, the buffet on the right, and the china cabinet on the left. The other china cabinet is more modern. It's in the corner. That came from Walter's parents' place. But I have had this for about 40 years. I inherited it when my grandparents passed away. And when I moved into my second apartment, I had a big enough place to put this in. It actually had a dining room area in my second apartment. And that summer, I was teaching summer school. I think it was only about my second or third year of teaching. And when I come home in the afternoon from teaching summer school, I worked on this set. I refinished it all. I stripped it all. It was black lacquer. All of these pieces had black lacquer on them at the time. And I had never, ever stripped furniture and refinished it in my life. So yeah, what do I start on? A dining room table, 6 dining room chairs, a buffet, and a china cabinet. Yeah. So I went through a lot of stripper at that time, too. It cost me quite a lot of money, which I didn't really have. I think I spent most of what I made at teaching summer school on redoing this set. I was really kind of happy with the way it turned out at the time, and it still looks pretty good for something that, I didn't know what I was doing. Now, in hindsight, I'm thinking, ooh, I should have left the original finish on it. But at the time, it was the early 80s, and I wasn't into black lacquer. And this dining room set comes from either the 1920s, 1930s. So, it's about 80 years old. And it's the only dining room set I've ever had. Some people have said to me before, have you never wanted to replace it? No, because it has sentimental value. Because I remember as a kid sitting around this table with my grandparents and my family for dinners. And that's a really cherished memory for me. And this is what, every time I see this, I think of my grandparents. So yeah, I would never get rid of it and buy something more modern. And it's well made, I can tell you that as well. So, yeah. Okay, so that takes... Sorry there, I hit the wrong button. I'm just sorting out my pictures here. Let me go back to me. There I am. And just seeing if I have anything else to show you. No, that's all I have to show you on those. Okay. So that takes me to what's coming up this week. Well, I've already mentioned the fact that Walter and I are going down to Whirls and Swirls to have a session with Tracy to quilt a quilt using Quilt Path and to learn more about that. And I am planning this coming Saturday, which would be, let me think, what's the date of this coming Saturday? Today is the 18th, 23rd. 23rd? Yeah, this Saturday, April 23rd. I'm going to have a pop-up sew/craft day. I will put up an announcement about it with a link. The link will be in the announcement. I may put the link up in this one too. I think I will. I'll put it up, the link, this week in all the things that go up. And what is it? If you've never been to one, well, basically, we just sew or work on a project and have light conversation. It's like Craft and Chat. In fact, it's exactly like Craft and Chat, except I know there are some people that have told me they wish they could come to Craft and Chat, but they, annoying thing they have to do, they work. They want to put food on their table and shelter over their heads, apparently, and so they work. I forget that people work, since I don't anymore. So I'm offering this it's open to anybody, of course, but especially for those of you that want to come to a Craft and Chat but can't. Well, this is a Craft and Chat on a Saturday. When will it start? Probably, well, once I get up and turn on my computers and everything, it'll start. So that'll be probably around 8 o'clock. I may be online earlier than that. So if you're an early riser, check it out. See if I'm online yet with it. It's a Zoom. And how long will it last? Until I get bored. That's what I tell people, until I'm bored with it or have something else to do. But generally speaking, sometime in the afternoon, if all's going well, it may last until 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. Or it may only last until, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know. We're just playing it by ear here, people. Okay? So, if you can join me for that on Saturday, if you've got nothing better to do, you want to get in a little time for yourself, in a relaxing environment, then join the pop-up Craft and Sew. I think that's what I'll start calling it. Sew and Craft, Craft and Sew. No, it sounds better as Craft and Sew. So be pop-up Craft and Sew. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay. And as I said, I'll put a link in the show notes below for that. Okay. So that's it. All for me today. I see that the sun is getting even brighter out there, so it looks like it's going to be a nice day, albeit probably a little cool. It's 1 degree C right now. That's fine. And I got a ton of things I got to get done today in preparation for tomorrow's session with the Quilt Path. So we'll see you next week. Have a good one and be happy.